Hey everybody, this is Danny Collison. Welcome back to Oz Living. Now we're here at Singapore for the Yunometa grand launch, and joining me today is the founder, Arijit Mukherjee. Thank you so much for joining me.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
And congratulations on the launch. So talk to me about your company, what Yunometa is all about, and what this name means for you.
Sure. So let me take you a little bit into the background of Yunometa. So we've started about 15 months back. Initially, the idea was to start off with an NFT marketplace, which was our original idea. And we started with that, spent 5-6 months building up the marketplace, really getting terms with what needs to be done to make it successful. And by the time we understood the rules of the game, the game had changed altogether. So come December of last year, we realized that the markets were actually giving way, right? So prices were coming down, volumes were coming down, cryptos were also kind of looking like they were going to crash. So which is why we said, hey, we don't want to be a one-trick pony, because a one-trick pony never can survive the toughest weather, right?
Exactly.
So which is why we started getting back into more serious stuff which is not seasonal, stuff which is not cyclical. NFTs are very seasonal, cyclical, just like cryptos themselves. But if you look at blockchain projects, metaverse projects, and these have a far longer period where they remain relevant and the companies remain relevant as well. So we started doing backward integration to such kind of projects at that point in time, blockchain and metaverse projects. So currently in the last 6-7 months, the fact that we've gone back and done that, we've, I think, got 6-7 international projects between blockchain and metaverse across various nations. So yeah, that's something to be happy and proud about.
Amazing. And so you've placed yourself in a very solid position, whether it be a bear market, you're flourishing and thriving. Talk to me about your innovative potential and also your contribution when it comes to the maturity of the space.
Excellent question. Yeah, you're right. The space is maturing because a lot of the stuff that really worked in the bull times of the yesteryear, last year, going up to about March of this year, very, very clearly will not remain relevant at all when the markets start coming back again. So NFTs which have no utilities will not find takers. Most NFTs don't have utility, right? I mean, that's the reality of life. I mean, they were fantastic artwork. In many cases, not even that. Right? Some of them were like just pixels and pixelated stuff, which went for a few $1 million. And you're scratching your head thinking, why this bloody thing went for a few $1 million? What was the reason behind it? And then you find some influencer, somebody somewhere, said, hey, I like this. And so a whole lot of people said, oh, if he likes it, then there must be something in it. Right? We need to like this as well. But that's, like I said, that's something which is okay for, for a heady, when you have a heady wind and a good tailwind, it kind of helps you, right? A lot of stuff goes up in the air. But the fact remains that when you go off into a deep end of the pool, that's when only the guys who can swim well survive. And which is where we are today. We are on the deep end of the pool, right? So if you don't have projects which really have inherent value and value which can actually start interacting with masses, where masses start seeing value there, right? Then those projects will not survive the test of time. Indeed. As a result, across nations, you are finding a lot of big timers, a lot of guys who would collected a lot of money, in the lead up to last year, falling short this time around, because they are more relevant, exactly. Right? Because they spent a whole lot of money in this upturn, but as soon as the downturn came, they were swimming naked.
And you came from traditional market, from banking for over 2 decades, and also your team came from banking with a banking background. So tell me how that impacts the way you operate your business.
Again, very, very good question. So actually, you're right, Annie. I mean, when you think of it, the fact that we came from a banking background, that basically meant that, we were very, very, careful about risk management, because that's something that we bankers kind of relate to all the time, right? Yeah. Anything that you do, you first think, hey, let's not bet the barn, right? Yeah. Because otherwise you'll be kind of going back home without your shirt on, right? So we're very clear that we didn't want to do any of that stuff. So I'll give you a few things that we did. So for example, we were very clear that our costs had to be minimal. When we were building up the team, we have a very high quality team. Very, very high quality team, right? The top 10 guys cumulatively would be having 250-300 man years of experience. And they're all extremely well-known names in their respective fields, in their industries, right? So having had a high quality team, you could think that then we must be betting the barn and paying them top dollar every month. But we are not. Because we can't afford to pay them that kind of money currently, given that we are a startup, right? So we were very clear that we had to be very careful in expending money on a month-on-month basis, and also because we could see that all of us were heading into rough weather, right? The seas are going to get very stormy, right? So at that point in time, we were sure that we wanted to buckle down. We didn't want to expend a lot. So wherever we've gone about with collaborations, we've talked to them about profit sharing, right? So there's nothing on the table on day zero. You prove your worth. You get a couple of deals done. Once you get a couple of deals, then we're happy to do profit sharing with you, and that we're happy to give you a large percentage so that you also feel very happy that, hey, I think I did a good job, right? But there was nothing on the table on day zero. So in that manner, we were very clear about splurging. So I'll tell you something. When I sat down to create my business plan last year, we had budgeted for a cost of $1.1 million for the first year. As per the budget of as against the budget of 1.1 million, we actually closed the year on 600,000. Sorry, so just about 60% of budget. So we saved 40% of cost. So in a market where your revenues are not certain, the least that you can do is cut down on your costs and not expend a whole lot. So we did few of these traditional things really well. The second thing that we did was, like I was mentioning to you a little while back, the fact that we didn't want to remain a one-trick pony. We started as an NFT marketplace, but we very quickly understood that wasn't the way the winds were blowing. There wasn't supportive winds there. And as a result, we were very clear that we wanted to, survive through the first bear market, right? And to do that, we wanted to do a little bit of a, back-end integration. And we started concentrating on metaverse and blockchain plays, which are longer term and which find relevance over a longer term period as well. And those projects also tend to be much, much more profitable, right? So if you kind of deliver a very handsome project to the project owner, then you can easily charge them a couple of $1 million and they don't bat an eyelid. They're happy to pay you that kind of money. And then you can also come into these projects with an annual maintenance option. So, you got to update, right? You got to update your software, you got to update some of the things that you've built. So there's an annual maintenance contract also which comes into the way. Because otherwise if you don't have, cash flows which come in month after month, quarter after quarter, you're nowhere there. How long can you survive on investors putting in money with you because they believe that you guys are good? That stops at some point in time. And it's very important thereby to realize that before the music is off, you need to get off the dance floor, right? With having done what you needed to do while you were on the dance floor. So we were very clear about these 2-3 things, right? Saving costs, looking at backward integration into these projects, right? And generally being careful about what you're doing in a bear market. So I think that's what's been good for us.
And when it comes to future plans, what are you most excited about? What are some of the latest news and advancements that are coming from Yunometa?
What we kind of got done with was, we partnered with WTA, Women's Tennis Association from New York, the people who run women's tennis globally, and they actually did a tennis event, for the first tennis event in India, right, for women. Right, a WTA ranked tennis event for women in India, right? It was a 250 women's 250 event that got done, and we became their metaverse and NFT partners. Now this is the first time outside the history of Grand Slams. Earlier it was only I would think Australian Open and currently US Open, in their Grand Slams who have actually come back and created a metaverse opportunity, for their followers and the spectators. We are the first people outside of the Grand Slams, anywhere, be it men's tennis or women's tennis, to create something significantly interesting for our spectators as well. So, and definitely first out of Asia, right? So so there are a few firsts over there as well. Also, with one of our senior advisors in November, December, we are working closely with FIFA. Not directly with them, but with the set of people who work closely with FIFA. So they have outsourced some of the NFTs and metaverse options to us, and we are working as a back-end production partner of that company to actually create these things and go back to them. So I think, if you've done global tennis, and by virtue of the fact that we did that event, there are already 3 other tennis events who have directly approached us as well, saying, are you guys interested to work with us and build our metaverse, build our NFTs, right? So which is interesting. I don't think we are complaining about that at all, right? So that's one. The fact that you're working with the biggest sporting name in the world, I mean the FIFA, right? So you can't get bigger than that as a sporting spectacle. So that also is very, very good. So I think sports, to my mind, having done tennis, once we do FIFA, we're pretty much up there in terms of what you can produce from an opportunity perspective and what would enthuse the masses, enthuse the spectators, and showcase that universally that Yunometa is a name to stay. So that's on that bit, but then there are other bits as well. So I'll take you very differently on a different side altogether. So let's talk about real estate, right? So real estate is as different from sports as chalk and cheese, right? So in real estate, for example, you have so many people, so many builders who have loads and loads of inventory. So some of them have land, some of them have buildings, right? And you realize that they're not being able to sell any of the stuff. So what we've done is we've actually worked with them in fractionalizing that real estate holding that they have, because it's difficult to set maybe $1 million flat, but it's not that difficult to get maybe 50 guys putting in $10,000 each, which also take you back to the same number, right? So actually creating those security tokens, $10,000 worth tokens, that's called fractionalization. So we've actually done that with a few real estate developers. For that, we have collaborated with one of the biggest names in the US, right? People who are extremely strong in this fractionalization and tokenization industry. And they're our partners, and with them we are working very closely as well on such projects. So essentially, Yanni, if I had to go back, Yunometa is all about, giving technology solutions to real world problems, right? So like this, so there are, issues that in brands that we are working with. There's stuff that we are doing with education. There's stuff that we are doing with agriculture. So like this, I can continue talking. But yeah, I think you get the gist of what I'm talking about.
Definitely. Well, the future is looking bright for Yunometa.
Yeah.
And lastly, you acquired a license here in Singapore. I want you to elaborate more why you chose this jurisdiction, and also, could you tell us more about the regulatory landscape in Singapore?
When we were looking at where to base ourselves, we had a few choices. We had Singapore, we had Malta, Estonia, BVI, Cayman Islands. So lots of choices, actually speaking. India as well, given that we are originally from India. At least few of our, principals are from India as well. But I think we wanted to look at a landscape. We wanted to look at a jurisdiction which was, very, very secure, where the landscape doesn't change. The regulatory the framework is very, safe, secure, and consistent.
Stable.
Very stable, very consistent, right? For example, if I had to talk about India, the regulatory framework is nothing. It can change overnight, and it does change overnight. And often enough, it becomes one extra challenge for the entrepreneurs to kind of grapple with this regulatory conditions which keep on changing. With a couple of other places, they don't enjoy the reputation of being a clean place or a clean haven, whereas they are safe havens for a lot of dirty money kind of doing the runs. The fact that we are bankers by profession, by background, meant that we wanted to, be far away from such kind of connotations or such kind of, connections. So which is why, while we knew that Singapore is going to be a more tougher jurisdiction to work with, we were willing to toil to get our license over here and get started over here itself. So in fact, when we started, it took us about 2.5 months to get this thing going. But in the overall scheme of things, 2.5 months is nothing. But yeah, at that point in time, I need to, I wanted to pluck my hair. I don't have too much of it, anyways, you can see that, right? So yeah, so did all that. But we're happy the fact that, we are here. We are here to stay for sure. And the fact that we are in a market like Singapore, which is stable, safe, secure, good jurisdiction, says a lot to our investors as well.
Exactly.
It shows that, that we are willing to pay some taxes, because there are so many other tax havens where you don't need to pay anything. But then a lot of other connotations and connections come up, which isn't the case over here with us. We are happy to be, kind of scrutinized very well, but do the right set of things to showcase that Yunometa is a good brand, is a good global brand, is a good responsible global citizen, and it's something that somebody would want to, people from all walks of life, all stakeholders would want to, kind of work with Yunometa in every possible way. I think that's what is the ask of any entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think we ask for anything but that, right? So to that extent, Singapore is a very good place to be in, right? And base our brand.
Well, Arijit, the fact that you're here in Singapore, it means that you're in here for the long haul as well. So that speaks a lot of volumes. Well, thank you so much, Arijit, for your time. It's really such a pleasure talking with you. And congratulations on the launch.
Thanks once again. Thank you for having me here today, Yanni. And lovely talking to you as well. And Oz Media, I wish you guys all the success as well. Yeah?
Thank you very
so
much.
Thanks.